Okay. So what is when we go for normal class inheritance, let us say we are creating multiple classes and all these classes have some common functionality, and we'll create in those places we will create a parent class and we'll put all those common functionality in the parent class and we'll create the individual functionality in the child classes, and we go for, in those cases we go for inheritance. Okay. When do we go for abstract class? Let us say we are creating multiple classes and all those classes have some logical relationship and they have some common functionality, and then we go for inheritance. But even in the common functionality, let's say the output is same for some of the methods but the implementation is different, then in the parent class we will declare that method as an abstract method and make the parent class as an abstract class, and we'll use abstract classes in those contexts. Understand this one?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay. Now when we go for interface, let us say we are implementing multiple classes and all these classes have, okay, the same functionality. That means the output is same, but implementation is different in all these ones. Then we'll create an interface and we'll create abstract methods in those interface. Okay, and we'll implement the functionality for those abstract methods in the child class. The functionality will be different in all these. Okay, interface is like 100% abstraction, right? 100% abstraction. That means interface will have only abstract methods. So when we will go for interface, when all these classes have same functionality but the implementation is different, then we will put the methods in an interface. We'll use an interface in that case. Okay. Okay, now let me go into this. Okay. So abstract class is used for partial abstraction. Interface is used for full abstraction. Abstraction. Okay. So what is abstraction? What is abstraction? People will definitely ask you in an interview, like, what is abstraction?
Yeah, you don't show the actual method and you only show that functionality. You don't show how it is
Yeah.
built.
Yeah. Abstraction is a process by which you show only the useful functionality, but not the, by hiding the implementation details. Okay.
Yeah.
So general example is car. Just car, like, for driving the car, all you need to know is, like, how to unlock the, how to use steering, how to apply brakes. That's all. You don't need to know how it works internally. That is nothing but abstraction, because all that functionality is hidden within the body of the car. Okay, which you won't see it outside. Okay, interface looks like a class, but it is not a class. Interface can have methods and variables just like class, but the methods declared in interface are by default abstract. Only method signature, no body. That means whatever the methods that we declare in interface, they are all abstract. Also, variables declared in interface are public, static, and final by default. Okay, we'll see what is final in the next classes. Okay, but for now, just remember the final means something which is constant. Okay, we cannot change it. Okay, the variables that we declare in an interface, they are by default public, static, and final. Okay, since methods in interface do not have body, they have to be implemented by the class before you can access them. Okay, just like abstract class. Okay, we have to implement that interface. We'll use a keyword called implement here. Okay, extend is for class to class, implement is for class to interface. So we have to implement that interface and we have to implement those abstract methods in the child class. Okay, since methods in interfaces do not have body, they have to be implemented by the class before you can access them. Okay, the class that implements the interface must implement all the methods of that interface. Again here, okay, well, let's say I have created 3 methods here within this interface. Okay, when I am implementing a class from this interface, I have to implement all these methods in the child class. If I don't want to implement all these methods in the child class, again the concept is same. The class should be abstract. Understand? If you are implementing an interface, you have to implement all these methods in the child class. If you don't want to implement all these methods, then again this child class should be abstract, and again you have to implement another child class. You have to create another child class. Got it?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay. Now, also Java programming language doesn't allow you to extend more than one class. We have seen this one, right? Let's say I have one class here, I have one class here, and I can create one child class only for this one. Okay. And I cannot extend, like, another class here. right?
Yeah, multiple inheritance is not
Yeah,
possible.
multiple inheritance is not possible. Okay, we have seen why multiple inheritance is not possible in Java, because these two, what if like, these two have like, same methods. Okay, it doesn't know like, which method it has to call, right? So that is why Java doesn't allow multiple inheritance. Okay, the class that implements the interface must implement all the methods of. Also, Java programming language doesn't allow you to extend more than one class. However, you can implement more than one interface in your class. Okay, now let me show you this one. Okay, I have a, this is class. Okay, this is class. I can extend. Okay, extends keyword I use. Okay, let us say I have another class. Okay, I cannot do this one. I cannot extend another class here because I am already extending one class, right? Multiple inheritance is not possible in Java. For example, I have an interface here. This is an interface. Okay, I have a class here. Okay, and I implement. Here I use extends keywords, but in interfaces we have keyword implements. I will show you this one. Okay, implement. Okay, and I have another interface here. I have another interface here. I can still implement that another interface also, implement. So this is possible in Java. Understand? Any questions here?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay, fine. Okay, now let me show you that what is the declaration of an interface. So if you see here, we'll use the keyword interface and a name for this interface. Okay, name for this interface, and whatever the methods like we declare them like this. Okay, and all these methods are by default abstract. By default, you don't need to mention this word like public abstract void test method one. What are the methods that you declare within an interface? They are by default abstract. Okay, now let me go here. Okay, let me close this one. Let me create a new package here, and the package is interface examples. Okay, this is my package name. Okay, let me create a new class here. Not a new class. What we have to do, we have to create an interface here. Okay, okay, I'm creating an interface. The interface name is, let us say, interface one something. Okay, or I'm creating something like interface one only. I'm creating, okay, interface one. Okay, this is my interface. Okay, so interface one, let me move it here. So let me close interface one. Okay, so now I'm creating some methods. What are the methods that I create in interface? They are by default abstract methods. So I'll say public, okay, abstract, okay, void test one. I have created a method test one. Okay, I'm creating another method public void test 2. Even though I don't use the keyword abstract here, this is by default abstract. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm creating a class here. Okay, a class, and that class name is class 1. Okay, and I'm using this main method in this one. Okay, so this class, let me put it here. Okay, let me close this one. Okay, I have this class. And in order to use these methods, what I have to do, I have to implement this interface. And for interfaces, it is implement. Okay, remember this one. So I have to use implement for implements. Okay, implements we have to use implements. Okay, interface one. Okay, now I have implemented this interface. Immediately it is showing an error for this class. What does this error say? This error says that, okay, the type of class 1 must implement the inherited abstract methods from interface 1 dot test 2. It is saying that, okay, you are implementing an interface, so you have to implement this method test 2. Okay, once you implement this method, then it says that, okay, you have to implement this interface method test 1 also. Okay, one way we can implement all those methods is, if you see, you'll see something, an example called add unimplemented methods. Okay, if you click on this one, then it will get you like all these methods. Public void test 1, it is showing like an at the rate override, which means that, okay, this is an overridden method. You are overriding either the previous class method, normal class, or previous abstract class, or interface, anything. Okay, you are overriding some method here. That's what it is saying. It's nothing but method overloading. Okay, so I'll say system.out.println. Okay, test 1 I'm saying. Similarly, here what I will do, I'll say system.out.println test 2. Okay, so in the main method, I have to create an object for this one for accessing these ones. Okay, so class 1, okay, let's say C1, object name is C1 is equal to new class 1. Okay, new class 1. So I'll say C1 dot test 1. Okay, so if I execute this one now, run as Java application. Okay, test 1 is printing. Understand this one? Same as like an abstract class only, but whatever the methods that we declare within an interface, they are by default abstract, and you have to create child classes which implements that interface. Here we have to use the keyword implements. Okay, and you have to implement all those abstract methods in the child class. For example, here like I have implemented all these two methods from the interface, but if I don't want to implement any, for example, I'm commenting this test 2, I'm commenting, I'm not implementing all the methods I have implemented on. Immediately you can see that this class 1 is showing an error. The type class 1 must implement the inherited abstract method interface 1 dot test 2. It is saying that, okay, you need to implement this test 2 method also. Okay, or what are the suggestions it is giving? It is saying that, okay, add these unimplemented methods. Okay, if I click this one, it will add this test 2 method here. Okay, if I don't want to implement that method, then it is saying make type class 1 abstract. It is saying that, okay, make this class as abstract. So if I add this one, see, abstract is done. But again, since this is an abstract class, it is throwing an error here. You cannot create an object for an abstract class. That's why it is throwing an error. Okay, understand this one? Or any questions?
It is clear.
Okay. Okay, so now let us go into this. Okay, so we have seen this one. Okay, class for interface also we have seen. Okay, and an interface cannot implement another. Oh, okay, okay, let us say I have two interfaces here. Okay, let me go here. Okay, let us say I have one interface. Okay, interface 1. Okay, I have another interface which is interface 2. Okay, so I have some class here, some class. Okay, what is this one? From class to interface we should use implements, right? Implements. Okay, and from class to class it is extends. Okay, from interface to interface also we can do it, but we have to use again extends keyword from interface to interface. Okay, now let us say this has two abstract methods and this has two abstract methods. You have to implement all these four abstract methods in this class. Okay, otherwise you have to make this one as abstract. Okay, so for this one what I did was like I think I have created like kind of diagram here. Yeah. So here, if you see this one, okay, understand this one. So from class to class, we have to use the keyword extends. From class to interface, we have to use the keyword implements. From interface to interface, we have to use the keyword again extends. Understand this one? Are any questions here so far? Okay, fine. So you try this one, like, create like two interfaces, okay, and use extends keywords between this interface and this interface, and you use a class here and try to implement all these methods within both of these interfaces. Okay. Okay, fine. Now let me go into the like I have given like multiple examples here. Okay, so this example is a normal example that we have seen. Interface cannot implement another, it has to extend another interface. Okay, see here, like I have shown you different interfaces. This is PR3 interface, some interface, and this is PR4 interface, and which is extending this PR3 interface. Okay, PR4 interface extends PR because this is between interface to interface. Okay, and we have this test 1 method, test 2 method here, and this here we have test 3 method and test 4 method. So if I create an class here which is implementing PR4 interface, the previous interface, now this class has to implement all these methods, test 1, test 2, test 3, and test 4. So we have it like a test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4. Okay, we have. Okay, even though the class implementing only PR4 interface, it has to implement all the methods of the PR3 interface also, because PR4 interface is extending PR3 interface. Okay. So do you guys understand about interfaces or any questions?
It is clear.
Okay, now there are some key points. Okay, so when you practice like these interfaces, then you can easily remember these key points. Okay, we cannot instantiate an interface in Java. Why? Because interface contains only abstract methods which are incomplete. That means we cannot create object for the interface. Interface provides full abstraction as none of its methods have body. That is why, because all the methods in an interface are abstract only. That's why interfaces provide 100% abstraction. On the other hand, abstract class provides partial abstraction, right? Because abstract class may contain concrete methods as well, right? That is why abstract class provides 0 to 100% abstraction, but interfaces provide 100% abstraction. Okay, as okay, as it can have abstract and concrete methods. Okay, implements keyword is used by classes to implement the n interface. While providing implementation of a class of any method of an interface, okay, it needs to be mentioned as public. Okay, class that implements any interface must implement all the methods of the interface, else the class should be declared as abstract. Okay, we have seen this one. We have to implement all the abstract methods of that interface. Otherwise, we should declare the class as abstract. Interfaces cannot be declared as private, protected, or transient. Okay, we cannot declare them in interfaces as like private, protected. Okay, and we have never used like what is this transient. Okay, just private or protected. Okay, they can never be private or protected. Okay, all the interface methods are by default abstract and public. Okay, even though you won't declare them here like they are like public, abstract, by default they are public and abstract. Even if you remember this one, sorry, even if you remove this one, this is still public and abstract. Okay. Okay, now variables declared in interface are by default public, static, and final. Okay, so let us say in this one I have created a variable int a equals to 10. Okay, this is by default, this is public. Okay, public by default, this is public, static, and final. Okay, static and final. Okay, if I declare it like this, or I will declare another one which is final int b which equal to 20. Okay, or I can declare it as static int c equals to 30. Okay, or static final int d equals to 40, or public static final int e equals to 50. All these are same. Even if you declare it or not, if you create a variable in an interface, by default, it is public, static, and final. So however you declare, like, the declaration is same for all these variables. Okay. And moreover, this is final variable. Final means something which is constant. We'll see it, like, later. Final means which is something constant. You cannot change it. So if I want to, like, access this variable, okay, I have shown an example here. Interface variables must be initialized at the time of declaration. Okay. So what are these variables you have created in an interface? They should be initialized here only, within this interface only. Okay. If you don't initialize them, for example, I create something like, okay, like this, and I haven't initialized this one, it throws an error. The blank final field E may not have been initialized. What it is saying is, okay, you need to initialize this final variable. Okay, you cannot leave it like that. Okay, so now if I initialize this one, this error will go away. Okay, we have to initialize those variables. Okay, interface variables must be initialized at the time of declaration, otherwise the compiler will throw an error, interface strike, compile time error, because this is not initialized. Okay. Okay. Above code will throw a compile time error as the value of the variable x is not initialized at the time of declaration. Okay. Inside any implementation class, you cannot change the variables declared in the interface, because by default they are public, static, and final. Here we are implementing. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So let me show you this one. Okay. So what are these variables? By default, they are public, static, and final. Right? Final means something that is constant. You cannot change this one anywhere. So let us say here, like, I'm trying to system.out.println. Okay. Let me access this one. We can access it by using this interface name, because these variables belong to this interface. Okay. Interface name dot a. Okay. It will say. So if I run this one now, run as Java application. Okay, it is showing the variable name value as 10. Okay, the variable value, the value of a here, which is 10. So it is printing this one. Okay, let me say I'll change this one here. So interface, okay, 1 dot a equals to, let us say 100. I am changing. What is happening here? It is throwing a compilation error. The compilation is the final field interface 1a cannot be assigned. That means because this value, this field, this variable is final, we cannot change this value. That is what it is saying. Okay, it is throwing an error here. That means you cannot change this value. Okay. Okay, now interface can extend any interface but cannot implement it. Okay, I showed you this one, right? From interface to interface, it is extends. Okay, from interface to interface, it is extend. From class to class, it is extend. From class to interface, it is implements. Okay, just remember that one. Okay, a class can implement any number of interfaces. So here we have seen a class can implement any number of interfaces, Okay, now if there are two or more methods in two interfaces, a class implements both interfaces. Okay, implementation of, okay, let me ask you this question. Okay, so we have seen that. Let me create a new PPT PowerPoint, this one, new slide. Okay, now let me ask you this question. Okay, I have these two classes. Okay, let's say this is class A and this is class B, and I have another class here, and this class extends this one. Okay, and I cannot extend a second class. This is not possible. Why we cannot extend the second class? Why Java and another class, more than one class? Anyone?
Because if it will have a similar kind of a method, then it will get confused.
Sorry, what is that? Okay.
If the two classes will have same method, then it will get confused.
Yes, yes. So let us say I have one test method here. Okay. And since this is a class, it will have some implementation. And let us say I have another test class here. Since this is another class, so it cannot know, like let's say this is class C. So I have created some objects C is equal to new C. Okay. And if I try to call like C dot test method, it cannot know which class it has to, which method it has to call, whether this test method or this test method, right? It cannot know. That is why it will fail there. That's why Java doesn't allow you to extend more than one class. But let us say I have an interface here. Okay, interface A and interface B. Okay, and this is, let us say, class C. Okay, now I can implement this one, implements. Okay, and Java allows you to implement any number of interfaces. Okay, and it is possible here. And why it is possible? Okay, because even though we have a test method in both of these, okay, even though we have test method in both of these, it doesn't give you any problem because this test method is abstract, right? That means it doesn't have a body. What you will do when we create a child class for this one, you implement like one of these test methods in the child class. Okay, you yourself implement one of these test methods, right? You understand here this one, because this test method is abstract here, you don't have a body here. Okay,
Yes.
and
So
you
that's
can implement any number of these ones, and all you need to do is just implement one of these test methods. That's it. Now you create an object for C is equal to new C. Okay, you can call this one C dot test. That's all. That is why Java allow you to implement more than one method, because what are the methods, even though the method names are same in these two interfaces, since these are abstract methods, you don't have to worry because you are implementing them in the child class and you implement one of these methods. That's all, like just test method. Both are test method only. So you implement this test method and you can call this one if you want, right? That is why interfaces won't give you any problem. That's why you can implement more than one interface in Java, but you cannot extend more than one class in Java. Okay? Got this point? Any questions
Yeah,
here?
it is clear.
Yeah. Okay. Now, okay. So if there are like two or more same methods in two interfaces, a class implements both the interfaces. Implementation of the method once is enough. Okay. Okay, now a class cannot implement, okay, two interfaces that have methods with the same name but with a different return type. Okay, now the problem comes when does the problem comes? Okay, we have two methods. Okay, but when does the problem comes? The problem comes when the return type is different for these two methods. Let's say the return type is void here and the return type is string here. Okay, in these two, in those cases only it won't allow you to implement like two interfaces. Okay, if the return type is different, in those cases only, okay, it will throw an error saying that okay, you cannot implement two interfaces. Okay, so example like I have given it here. So I have two methods. Okay, in the first interface I have public void AAA and public int AAA, and when I implements both of these interfaces, class central implements a comma b, then it will throw an error because public void AAA, public int AAA. Okay, because, and if you implement these ones and if you call this method, it doesn't know like again whether it has to use this method or whether it has to use this method. Okay, the only situation where you cannot implement two interfaces from a class is if both of those interfaces have same method with different return types. Okay, just remember this one. Okay, now variable names conflicts can be resolved by the interface name. Just try these ones. Okay, let's say I have an interface A which is int x is equal to 10. I have a variable. Okay, interface B int x is equal to 100. Okay, but since we use the interface names here, okay, it won't get, you can directly access it like x. Okay, but since we have the same value, same variable names in both of these, we use the interface names a dot x and b dot x. Okay, so variable name conflicts can be resolved by the interface name. Okay, any questions, guys, so far? Did you understand, like, the interface concept?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so these three are related: inheritance, okay, abstract classes, okay, and interfaces. Okay, I think like by this time you should have got this concept of like when we go for normal class inheritance, when we go for abstract classes, and when we go for interfaces, right?
Yeah, it is clear.
Let me go to the, so all these interview questions, like, they like, what is an interface? Okay, what is an interface contain? And what keyword you use, like, from class to interface implements. Okay, what if I don't want to implement like all the methods of the interface in the child class? The child class, we should make it as abstract. Okay, these are all the different kinds of questions you get in an interface. Okay, now the same things, like, are also there, like in the interview questions also. Let me, okay, so okay, define interface in Java. Interface is a collection of abstract methods and constants. Okay, interface is also defined as a pure or 100% abstract class. Okay, we can also say it as a 100% abstract class. Interfaces are implicitly abstract whether we define abstract access modifier or not. Okay, a class implementing interface overrides all abstract methods defined in the interface. Implements keyword is used to implement an interface. What is the purpose of an interface? Interface is like a contract. Interface acts like a communication between two objects. When we are defining an interface, we are defining a contract, what our class should do, but not how it does. Just understand this keyword, understand this sentence. When we are defining an interface, okay, we are defining a contract. Okay, what our class means our child class should do, okay, but not how it does. You understand this one? We are defining an interface. Okay, that means we are defining a contract basically. Okay, telling all the classes that implement that interface. Okay, what we are telling all those classes, we are telling them that, okay, you need to do this action, you need to do this action, but how you do it is it's up to you. It's up to the class how it does. You got this? You understand this sentence? Are any questions?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay, so what we are saying is interface is like a contract between the classes. It tells the classes that, okay, you have to do this one, you have to do this action. For example, unlocking a door, changing the car gear, or applying brakes. Okay, these are the actions that you have to do. But how you do it is up to you. You implement, you do it your own way. Okay, that is what an abstract is. An interface doesn't define what a method does. Okay, the power of interface lies when different classes that are unrelated can implement that interface. Interfaces are designed to support dynamic method resolution at runtime. This is nothing but dynamic method resolution means this is nothing but runtime polymorphism. Okay, we'll see what is polymorphism. Okay, explain features of interfaces in Java. Okay, so all these features we have already seen them. Just go through all these features. Okay, now class C implements an interface I containing methods M1 and M2. Class C has provided implementation for M2. Can I create an object for class C? Okay, it is saying that class C is implementing an interface which is containing methods M1 and M2. Okay. Now class C has provided implementation only for this method M1, sorry, or M2, only for M2. It didn't provide implementation for M1. So in those cases, what does class C becomes?
It should be abstract.
Abstract class. Okay, since it becomes an abstract class, can I create an object for class C? I cannot create. Okay, no, not possible. Class C should provide implementation for all the methods in the interface I. Since class C didn't provide implementation for M1 method, it has to be declared as abstract, and abstract classes can't be instantiated. Okay, okay. Can a method inside an interface be declared an final? Can we declare a method inside an interface as final? Final means something that cannot be changed. Okay, let's leave this one at this moment. Okay, because we haven't covered like what is final, but we cannot declare some method like in an interface as final. But once you understand like what is final for variables, final for variables you have already seen. Final for variables means the value of the variable cannot be changed, right? So similarly, final for methods also we'll see that one. Okay, now can an interface implement another interface? Interface to interface, what is the keyword?
Implements.
Interface to interface. Yeah, extends. See, class to class extends. Class to interface implements. Interface to interface again extends. Okay, interface don't provide implementation, hence an interface cannot implement another interface. Interface extends another interface. Okay, now sorry, can a class extends more than one interface? Can a class extends more than one class? No, it is not possible. You can extend only one class, right? We have seen this one earlier.
It can implements more than one interface.
Yeah, why is an interface so this is why is an interface be able to extend more than one interface, but a class cannot extend more than one class because all the methods in the interface are abstract. We can extend more than one interface to interface, but we cannot extend from class to class. We cannot extend more than one class, because if those parent classes contain the same methods, okay, the child class will get confused whenever it has to call that method. Okay, which method it has to call. That's why you cannot extend more than one class to class. Okay, can an interface be final? No, not possible. Okay, we'll see this one. Can we define private and protected modifiers for variables in interfaces? No. Okay, always the variables that we declare in a what is that one? The what are the modifiers, are like the type of those variables in an interface? They are by default, yeah, public, public, static, and final.
Yeah.
Okay, only public and abstract modifiers are allowed for methods in interfaces. Okay, differences between abstract class and interface. Okay, just we have seen like all these differences. Just go through these differences. Okay, so any questions on interface? Did you guys can understand the interface concept? Everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so Neelima, like did you understand like the concepts of this inheritance, abstraction, and interfaces?
Yes, Subbu.
Okay, just practice
I
like
had to
all
practice.
these.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
practice
understood,
like
but I had to.
practice like all these examples. Then you can understand more. Okay. Okay. And Gautam, do you understand this one?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so these three concepts are important, like, interface, abstract. You have to understand the concept behind this. Okay, when we go for interface inheritance, when we go for abstract classes, when we go for interfaces, you have to understand the concept behind all these things. Okay, people may not ask you like in the interview in the interviews, but if you understand the concept, because if you don't understand this, definitely you'll be having like some confusion. Okay, well, okay, when do we go for interfaces, or like why we use abstract classes? Just like the question you asked, Ankur. Okay, so like why we have to create like an abstract method in the parent class when we can directly implement it in the child class. So if you understand this concept, like behind all these things, it will be very easy for you. Okay, Ramesh, like did you get the concept behind all these things?
Yeah, Subbu, I'm clear.
Okay, Suman.
Yes, Subbu, all good.
Okay, fine. Okay, now let us get into the next important concept, which is called polymorphism. Okay, so what is polymorphism? Okay, what is polymorphism in Java? Okay, let me go into this one. Okay, so what is polymorphism in Java? Okay, so if you see this word polymorphism, okay, okay, if you understand this word poly means it is, the meaning is many. Morphism means forms. Okay, morphism means forms. Okay, so polymorphism, many forms. Okay, that means what does it mean? Okay, so polymorphism is a way of performing a single action in multiple ways. Performing a single action in a multiple ways. We have already seen this one. Okay, in case of method overriding, what we do? Okay, the output is same. For example, unlock door. Okay, unlock door. The output is same, which is opening the car door. But for car type 1, it is some, let's say it's manual unlock. For car type 2, let's say it is remote. For car type 3, okay, let's say voice command. Car type 4, thumbprint. That means the output is same, is the way of performing a single action, which is opening a car door in multiple ways. Okay, that is nothing but polymorphism. Polymorphism is the capability of a method to do different things based on the object that it is acting upon. In other words, polymorphism allow you to define one interface and have multiple implementations. Okay, do you understand this one? Polymorphism is way of performing a single action in multiple ways. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, so types of polymorphism. What are the different types of polymorphism we have? We have static polymorphism or compile time polymorphism, and we have dynamic polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. These are the two different kinds of polymorphism we have. Method overloading is a static polymorphism. Method overriding is a dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. Okay, what is method overloading? Basically, method overloading is okay. Where does method overloading happens? In the same class, right? Let us say I have two methods here. Okay, public. Okay, the return type is int. Okay, and I am adding two numbers here. Okay, int a comma int b. Okay, these are like two methods here. Okay, similarly I have the same method, public int sum int a comma int b comma int c. You understand this one? Both are sum only. The methods are sum, which is nothing but adding numbers. But here it adds two numbers. But here it adds three numbers. Okay. This is in the same class. It happens in the same class. Okay, method overloading. This is method overloading. Okay, so here what we are doing, we are adding numbers only. Okay, but these two are different methods. It is doing the same action, but in different ways. Well, here it is adding two numbers, here it is adding three numbers. So this is called polymorphism. Okay, it is called polymorphism, and it is static polymorphism or compile time polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism. Why it is a compile time polymorphism? Because it decides which method it has to call, whether it has to call this method or it has to call this method at compile time itself, not at runtime. When the program is compiled, then itself it decides which method it has to call, whether I have to call this method or whether I have to call this method. How does it decide? Based on the parameters, type of parameters or number of parameters. Here, okay, let's say I have written my program by passing two variables. Then at compile time itself, it decides that, okay, I have to call this method. So for example, I have written it like, by passing three variables. At compile time itself, it decides, okay, I have to call this method. So this is polymorphism, and again this is compile time polymorphism, because it will decide which method it has to call at the compile time itself, and it is also called static polymorphism. Do you understand this one, or any questions?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, now dynamic polymorphism. Dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. Method overriding is a dynamic polymorphism. Okay, method overriding is dynamic polymorphism. What is method overriding? Where does method overriding happens? Method overriding happens in inheritance concept, parent class and child class, right? You remember this one, right? Method overriding. What is method overriding?
Yeah.
When we have
Yes.
same methods in both parent class and child class, and if the implementation might be different in the child class, then that is method overriding. Okay, let us say, okay, here I have this parent class which is car, let us say the car. Okay, and here I have a child class which is car type 1. Okay, here my unlock car is there. Okay, okay, I have given like some let's say this is a class I'm saying. Okay, I have given some manual car lock I have given, but since car type 1, okay, I will override this unlock car method. Okay, and I will provide like some implementation like remote unlocking. Also, what I did, I have overridden this unlock car method. Similarly, I have create like another car 2, which is unlock car. Okay, I will provide like some implementation here, and that implementation is let us say voice command. Okay, voice command implementation I will implement. So in the parent class I have some manual implementation here, but I am overriding them with with this remote implementation in car 1 and voice command implementation in car 2. Okay, now if I create an object for this car 1 and call this method, this remote implementation will execute. If I create an object for this car 2 and call this method unlock car, then this voice command implementation will execute. You understand? Okay, so so based on the object that we create, the corresponding method will execute. If I create an object for car 1, this method will execute. If I create an object for car 2, this method will execute. Understand? And this
Yes.
will be decided at runtime. Okay, not at compile time. Which method it has to call, whether it has to call this method or whether it has to call this method, this is based on the object that we pass. So it will be decided at runtime. That is why it is called dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. Okay, so method overriding is dynamic polymorphism. Okay, I will show you a different example here. In this example, what we are doing is we are trying to get interest rate. Okay, interest rate from different banks. So what I have created is again get interest. Okay, the interest here, the action is we have to get the interest. I mean, how much is the interest on a particular amount. Okay, so the method name is, the output is same for all the banks. Okay, so I have created an interface here and I have created an abstract method which is public abstract float get interface float amount. Okay, I'm sending like some amount, okay, to this method. Now I have created ICICI Bank, and I am overriding this. I'm implementing this PR1 interface, and I'm overriding this get interest method. Okay, and I'm taking that the interest rate is 9.5%. 0.095f and return float of interest rate into amount. Whatever the amount that we are passing, okay, it will return interest rate for. Similarly, I'm overriding, I'm creating Axis Bank and I'm overriding the same method, and now the interest rate I'm taking is 10%. Okay, similarly HDFC Bank, okay, I'm implementing this interface and I'm overriding this get interest method and the interest rate is 10.5. Okay, now these are the three child classes I have created. Now I'm creating another class, normal class, where it is a bank interest class. Okay, bank interest. And now if you see PR1 interface, interest is equal to new PR2 ICICI Bank. I'm creating an object for this ICICI Bank. Okay, and this is of the type interface. Okay, now if I pass this amount interest, okay, this interest dot get interest of 10 lakhs, since I am creating an object for this ICICI, I will get interest rate for ICICI. If I create an object for HDFC, I will get it for HDFC. If I use Axis Bank object here, I will get Axis Bank interest. Okay, let me show you. Let me execute this one and I will show you. Okay, again, we have discussed one concept, like whenever we are using an inheritance concept. Okay, whenever we create, let's say I'm using like some parent class here. Okay, this is my parent class and this is child class. Okay, whenever we create an object for these cases, in these cases where we have a parent class child class relationship, we have parent object 1 equal to new child. Okay, this is how we create. We discussed this one earlier, right? Similarly in interfaces also, let's say we have an interface. And a child class is created for this interface. In this case also, we use the interface name here and create an object equals to new. That means we are creating an object for this one, but this is of this type interface. We discussed this one, right, earlier. Do you guys remember this one?
Yeah, it is a reference name and the
Yeah.
object is of child name, and vice versa is not possible.
Yeah, vice versa is not possible. Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay, now so the same. Now let me implement this example here. So interface examples. Okay, let me create like another package here, new package. Okay, and the package name is, let us say, polymorphism examples. Okay, let's say package name is polymorphism examples. Now first I will create an interface here. Okay, the interface is uh, interest interface. Okay, interface name is interest interface. Okay, let me move this to here. Okay, and I am creating an abstract method here. So public, okay, interest, it returns the interest in, let us say, float. Okay, and get interest. Okay, this is my abstract method that I have created. Okay, by default this is abstract, I don't need to mention it, but let me mention this. Okay, public abstract float get interest, that means it returns a float value. Okay, now let me create a child class for this one, which is ICICI Bank. Okay, public class. Okay, ICICI. Okay, this is my ICICI Bank class, and let me finish this one. Okay, so let me close this interface one. Okay, interest interface. Okay, now I have to implement this one. Implements. Okay, interest. INTEREST. Interest interface. Okay, since I have implemented this interface, it throws me an error saying that okay, you have to implement all the unimplemented methods. So I am implementing all the unimplemented methods. Okay, but again I have to do one more thing here. So this one takes an amount. The parameter is some amount. So I'll say int. Let's say I'm taking an integer here. Int amount. Okay, this is taking an amount here. So let me delete this one and okay, so now add unimplemented methods. Okay, I'm adding unimplemented method. So what it has to do, let us say the interest rate for ICICI Bank is okay, float int rate. Okay, interest rate is, let us say it is 9.5%. So it is 0.095f. Okay, now I have to return the interest. Interest is, which is this into this amount. So I have to say int rate, okay, star amount. Okay, this is what I have to return. Okay, I am returning this interest rate. Okay, I am multiplying this one with the amount with the interest rate, and I am returning this one float. Okay, you understand until this point? Are any questions?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay, now I'm creating another class, okay, which is Axis Bank. I'm creating, okay, and for the Axis Bank, again I'm implementing it. It implements interest rate, interest interface, and let us say this is 10%, so it is 0.1f, okay, or 0.10f, 10%, so 0.10f. Okay, and similarly I'm creating another one which is HDFC Bank. Okay, and if I can, let us say it is 10.5, so 0.105. Sorry, this is for Axis Bank only, right? Okay, I have to open HDFC Bank, and for HDFC Bank the interest rate is 10.5. Okay, we have created three classes here which implements this interface. One is ICICI Bank, which is offering 9.5% interest rate, Axis Bank 10%, HDFC Bank 10.5%. Okay, you understand this one until this point?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me create another class which is get okay, calculate interest rate. Sorry, yes, or let's say get interest. Okay, this is my class and I'm using public static void main method. Okay, so move this one to here. Let me close this one. Okay, this is my interest. Okay, so when I when if I want to create an object for any of this, what I will do generally, I will use this interface name initially. Okay, which is called upcasting. Okay, interest interface. Okay, int rate. Okay, interest rate equals to new ICICI. Okay, I'm creating an object for this ICICI, which is of the reference type this interface. Now what I can do, I can say int rate dot, okay, what is get interest. Okay, this method is there. Okay, get interest. Okay, get interest of, I have to pass some value, some amount. I am passing, okay, 1 lakh amount. Okay, since it returns, what does it return? It returns a float value. So I have to capture this one in a float variable. Float, okay, let us say rate is equal to, float rate is equal to interest rate, the object that I have created, dot this one. Okay, now I am printing this one, system.out.println rate. Okay, now if I run this one, run as Java application, okay, and it gives me the interest rate for from ICICI Bank. Since ICICI Bank is, okay, 9.5% interest rate for 1 lakh, the interest rate is 9,500. Suppose if I change this one ICICI to HDFC, it will give me the interest rate for HDFC. Okay, if I run this one, Java application, okay, 10,500, 10, because it is 10.5%. Similarly, okay, if I pass this one as axis, okay, and run as Java application, it is 10,000 because it is 10%. Okay, so at runtime, based on the object that we are passing, okay, it will call the corresponding method. Okay, here the action is same. What is that action here? It is getting the interest rate. The action is same, but based on the object we are passing, it will call the corresponding method, and that is called runtime polymorphism. Okay, and it resolves that method. Which method it has to call? Whether it has to call the get interest method of ICICI Bank, or get interest method of Axis Bank, or the get interest method of HDFC Bank, it will be resolved at runtime. That is why it is called runtime polymorphism or dynamic polymorphism. Okay, and you may have, like, some questions like, oh, okay, so why do I change it, like, at runtime? Why do I change it, like, at runtime? Okay, we don't always go and update this programming logic program, right, by, like, updating it to ICICI Bank or updating it to Axis Bank. How do we do it? Okay, thing is that, let me give you an example here. Let us say, okay, you have, well, okay, but do you guys understand until this point, or any
Yeah, it
questions?
is.
Everyone, do you understand?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, let us say, look, you may have question like, okay, why do we go on every time, like, we don't go and update that program, right? The child class, like, I mean, the normal class with this Axis Bank object, or ICICI Bank object, or HDFC Bank object, right? We don't do that. But generally what happens is, let us say, like, you go and visit the web page, like, some where, like, there is a website which provides you the interest rates, like, from different URLs. Okay, let's say, like, you have something like another get interest rate, and you have three radio buttons which will say HDFC, ICICI. Okay, and axis, let us say we have, and we have a submit button here, and let us say here, like, you have to enter the amount. Okay, enter amount. Okay, you have to enter the amount, and you have to select one of these, and you have to click on submit. So if you select HDFC and enter the amount as 1 lakh and click on submit, it will return. So you won't, like, update that program. So you'll write some web programming logic here. Okay, when I select this one, the HDFC object should be created. When I select this one, ICICI object should be created. When I select this one, Axis object should be created. You understand this one? So like this, like, it will update the count. But do you guys, like, understand now, like, what is a polymorphism?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay, polymorphism means, poly means many, morphism means forms. That means doing the same action in multiple ways. The same action means, again, it is, let's say, unlocking a car door or getting the interest, okay, from a bank. These are the same actions, but they can be done in multiple ways. Actually, that is nothing but polymorphism. What are the different kinds of polymorphism we have? We have two types of polymorphism. The first one is static polymorphism or compile time polymorphism. Second one is dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. So what is static polymorphism or compile time polymorphism? Method overloading is nothing but static polymorphism or compile time polymorphism. When does the method overloading, where does the method overloading happens? Within the same class. Okay, what is method overloading? Method overloading is having the same method but with different arguments, is nothing but method overloading. So why it is called as static polymorphism? Because what method it has to call will be defined at the compile time itself. It will be it will define during the compile time itself. That is why it is called like compile time polymorphism. Okay, what is dynamic or runtime polymorphism? Okay, so what is dynamic or runtime polymorphism? Method overriding is dynamic or runtime polymorphism. Okay, why we call it as the runtime polymorphism? Because what method it has to call, it is dependent on the, it will be it will be known at the runtime based on the object that we are passing. That is why it is runtime polymorphism. Okay, this is about polymorphism. Do you understand? Like any questions on this one? Just understand like this concept, polymorphism concept you have to understand, and the different kinds of questions on this one. Okay, any questions, guys, on this one, polymorphism? Okay,
It's clear for me.
yeah. Okay, so Java polymorphism, which object oriented concept is achieved by using overloading and overriding? Definitely polymorphism. What is polymorphism and what are the types of it? Okay, single task can be done in different ways, or one action can be done in multiple ways, is nothing but polymorphism. Method overloading, okay, and method overriding, these are the two. I mean, what types of it? Types are like a compile time polymorphism or static polymorphism, and dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. What is method overriding? Specific implementation of a method for child class. Okay, this is nothing but method, or if you have same method in both like parent class and child class, then that is nothing but a method overriding. It can also be like in a abstract classes or interfaces also. Specific implementation of that method in the child class, okay, is nothing but method overriding. What is method overloading? Okay, if a class has multiple methods by same name but different arguments, is nothing but method overloading. Okay, remember this one. Where does method overloading happens? Where does method overloading happens? Anyone?
Yeah,
The
when
same,
it has,
no,
yeah,
within the same class or like in different classes?
overloading is same class only
Yeah, overloading happens in the same class. Where does like method overriding happens?
in a child classes basically.
Yeah, so when we have this inheritance class, parent class, child class, or abstract class, child class, or interface or child class, their method overriding happens. Okay, now just go through these differences, method overloading and overriding. We have discussed like all these things. Okay, what is runtime polymorphism and compile time polymorphism? Okay, we have discussed these ones also. Just go through it. Can we overload main method? Okay, yeah. So again, just practice, just try this one. Can we overload main method? Yes, we can overload main method, but again, only the one that is which is string and args that will be called at the runtime. And if we want to call like other main methods, okay, you have to call them explicitly. Yes, we can have many main methods in class by overloading the main method, but you have to call those methods. So you see, this is another main method, same as this main method, but the arguments are different in talk. And similarly, we have another main method which is okay, string args1, args2. So basically, this when the class is executed, this main method will be called, and we are calling the other overloaded main methods from this main method. Okay, just try this one from your side.
So what
Okay.
is the purpose of this to call
No,
multiple methods?
no, there is no purpose actually. But people like may ask you to confuse you. Okay, okay. When you say like overloading, okay, they will ask you questions on okay, what is overloading and all those things, and they will ask you simply, okay, can we overload main method?
Okay.
Okay, we will never use this one. We never use this. but
Okay.
confuse you or like generally like what happens is especially like it happens with Indians basically. I mean, if you attend for like an interview somewhere like in US or somewhere like the interviews like generally goes like peacefully, but when sometimes like what happens is like with the most like Indian interviewers I have seen this one. I mean, they'll keep on asking questions to you until you say that like something somewhere you have to say that okay, you don't know.
Okay.
Okay, that's what it happens generally. I have seen that one like kind of like an attitude problems that we have generally. Okay, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So just try this one. Okay, fine. Okay, so that is about interfaces. Sorry, polymorphism. Everyone, like, are you guys like clear about this polymorphism concept? Inheritance, abstract classes, interfaces, and polymorphism. Are you clear about this one? Just practice them. You have to practice them. Okay, then only you can understand. No one will tell you like all these concepts actually if you go for like anywhere else. No one will tell you like what is this compile time runtime polymorphism, how do you achieve this. Okay, and when do you go for an inheritance or or abstract classes or interfaces. Okay, what are the real-time situations like when you go for this. Okay, but if you understand this concept it will be very easy for you. Okay, any questions guys so far? Okay, fine. Now let me go into this properties class. Okay, because we use this one. This is a small example that I'm giving. We use this one in Selenium. Okay, we use system.set property method. So I just put it here. Okay, so what is properties? Properties is a class in Java. Okay, it is a class in Java basically, and it has an object called system which maintains a set of system properties for configuration. Okay, this system object, properties class object is system. This system object, it maintains a set of system properties. Okay, let me show you this example. Okay, let me create a new package here. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, let me get some water and I'll come back. Okay, so I'm back. So let me create a new package here. Okay, I'm creating a new package. Okay, I'm saying something like properties package something. Okay, I have created a new package here, and I'm creating a new class under this one, which is let us say what class will say. Let us say like something like not login, but you get confused with this one. Some example class. Example class I'm creating, and I'm using this main method. Okay, I just created method a class here. Now within this method, okay, what I can do, so this properties class has an object system, and it maintains a set of system properties for configuration. So if I want to see all the properties, I can use system.getProperties. So I can say here system.get properties. Okay, this is the system.getProperties method. So I can print all these properties. So system.out.println system.getProperties. Okay, so if I run this one, run as Java application. Okay, see, these are all the properties that are maintained by this system. Okay, so java.specification.version, I'm using 17, Java version 17. So like this, there are multiple properties. If I want to get only one property here, for example, Java specification version, I would like to get it. Okay, so let me comment this one. I'll say system.out.println. Okay, system.get property, and the property name is sorry, java.specification.version. Okay, java.specification.version. So if I run this one, run as Java application, and it shows the version of Java that I'm using 17. Okay, similarly, if I want to get the class path, okay, java.class.path. Okay, so instead of java.specification.version, I want to know the class path, java.class.path. Run as Java application and usage training workspace Java bash bin. Okay, this is my class path. Okay, now we can also set up our own values. Okay, for example, I'll say system dot set property, and you have to pass key and value here. System dot set property of, let us say, name. I'm passing something like employee name. Okay, employee name is, let us say, Rajesh. Okay, I have set some system level variable here, which is employee name. Okay, now if I want to get this one, I can get it as system.out.println. Okay, system.get property of, okay, I can give this employee name here. Okay, and if I run this one now, run as Java application, which is, okay, you will get Rajesh here. Okay, because this one in our Selenium when we write a Selenium script, we use this one, system.set property. Okay, and yeah, system.set property, we use it there for setting up the path where we have the driver executable files. We have to set that path first. So we use this one. That's why I just wanted to explain you this one. What is this properties class? Okay, just practice this one. This is a small one option actually. We don't have any interview questions or anything like that. Okay, what's the time? It is 7:51. Okay, fine. Let me see the other one. Okay, let us see the final class. Okay, what is final? Okay, so we have already seen like what is final. So what is final?
Like
Final means
Default one.
no.
Default.
Final means something that cannot be changed. Something that cannot be changed. Let us say if I declare some variable as final, that means we cannot change the variable or we cannot assign new values to that variable. If I declare a method as final, if I declare a method as final, I cannot override that method in the child class. Okay, if I declare a class as final, I cannot create child classes for that class. Understand this one? Okay, let me show you this one. Okay, let me show you an example. This is a simple one actually. New, I'm creating a new package here, and the package is final keyword. Sorry, final keyword. Okay, so let me create the first class. Okay, the first class is, let's say, the class name is, let's say, I'm giving like some example class. Okay, example class. Okay, public static void main. Okay, now let me show you this one. I have created a variable here, the public static int a equals to 10. This is this is something I have created. Okay, now I'll say system.out.println a, because this is a static variable. I can directly access it. Okay, now if I run this one, the value is 10. And if I change this one, a is equal to 20. Okay, and if I say system.out.println a, now the value of a becomes 20. If I run this one, run as Java application, a value is 20. Okay, initially it is 10, we updated it to 20. For example, if I make this one as final, okay, final means something that cannot be changed. So it will show you an error because we are trying to change this value here by assigning it to a new value. A is equal to 20. Okay, the final field example.a cannot be assigned. Okay, so for variables, when you say something is final, that means the value cannot be changed. Okay, now let me create another class here. Okay, let me create another class here, which is a parent class I am creating. The class name itself is parent. Okay, this is a parent class. Okay, now if I click on, okay, so now in this one I'm creating a method public um, public void, okay, display method. Okay, display method I'm creating system.out.println I am parent method. Okay, now I'm creating a child class in this one. Okay, class name itself is child. Okay, child. Okay, and okay, this is a child class and this is parent class, and I am overriding this method in the child class. And okay, once you say, first we have to extend this one, right? Extends parent. Extends parent. Okay, so I have created a parent class which contains a display method, and I have created a child class, and where I am overriding this parent class display method. I am child method. Okay, you are fine until this point, right? Are you guys clear until this point? Everyone?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now in the parent class, I am making this method as final, public void. Okay, public void final. I think this final keyword should be given before this. Okay, public final void display. Now what is happening? You see, this child class is throwing an error. Okay, child class, it is throwing an error saying that cannot override the final method from parent. That means if we declare a method as final, we cannot override that in the child class. Understand this one? Any questions?
No, it is clear.
Okay, that means we cannot override the final methods from the parent class to child class. Okay, let me take out this final keyword here. Okay, now let me make the class parent class itself as final. Okay, public final parent. What is happening again? Child class is throwing an error. What is it saying? It is saying the type child cannot subclass the final class parent because the parent class is final. It is saying that okay, you cannot create a child class for this parent class because the parent class is final. One quick fix available is remove final from modifier of parent. It is saying that okay, just remove the final keyword for the parent class. Okay, so now tell me, like, what is final? What does it mean by final?
A
Anyone?
value that cannot be changed.
The value that cannot be changed. So we can have final for variables, methods, and classes. So for variables, we cannot change the value. Okay, when we say a method is final, what does it mean?
It cannot be overridden.
We cannot override that method in the child class. Similarly, when we say a class is final, what does it mean?
We can't, inheritance cannot be applied there.
Yeah, we cannot create
It
child
cannot
classes for that class. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is already 8 o'clock. Okay, we'll see this one tomorrow. Okay, so we have like this keyword. Just go through these interview questions. Okay, the same whatever we have discussed, the same things will be there. This keyword, super keyword, strings, arrays, collections. Okay, so these are the main things we have to complete. Okay, exceptions and file operations are also there. Okay, these are the main things you have to finish, and then like these are some additional things like enumerations, random class, math class, integer class, character class. We'll also finish these as well. But for you, whatever the topics that we are now discussing, like all these interfaces, inheritance, all these things, they are very important. Okay, for interview purpose as well. Okay, and then we have this keyword, super keyword, and the strings, arrays, collections. Okay, all these are strings, arrays, collections is very important. Exceptions, file operations, all these things. Okay, fine. So you have like, you guys have like any questions or anything from anyone? Okay, Ankur, like did you understand like all the concepts that we have discussed today?
Yeah, it is clear to me.
Okay, Nilima.
Yes, Subbu.
Okay, and Gautam.
Yes.
Okay, Ramesh,
Yes, Subbu, I'm clear.
Suman.
Yeah, all okay, Subbu. Thank you.
Fine. Okay, so you have to like practice all these concepts, then only like you can remember. Okay, and all these concepts like from interview perspective, like I'm explaining you like all these concepts. If you prepare these concepts, you should be fine. I mean, once this course is completed, then maybe like if you want to go and like refer to some more, yes, you can go and like check the Google or YouTube like for any extra questions. But what are the questions interview or like what are the notes I'm giving, that will be enough for you to face an interview. Okay. Okay. Fine then. We'll meet tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
for the class. Thank you, Subbu.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye bye.